Hey Johns, how you doing? Welcome back. Spent the last 3 days working together with Criterion, giving them feedback on Need for Speed, what needs to be fixed, what you guys want, many things. Well, I can tell you they have a lot more freedom. They have a lot more freedom that they had before. So I think they're gonna take our criticism very seriously this time around, and all of the feedback that the group has given them should lead to some amazing results. You know, basically me and a bunch of other content creators like Black Panther were invited to feedback on Need for Speed. I didn't want to close this. And the group that we had together was very racing focused. Like it was a bunch of you know, true Need for Speed gamers, in my opinion, that know what they're talking about, and they gave some really good feedback. We all gave some really good feedback directly to the developers, and it is gonna positively affect the future of Need for Speed, in my honest opinion. I am very excited, you know? That's like my takeaway from the event. I'm very excited for the future of Need for Speed. No, we gave feedback for the entire Need for Speed history, right? Like we gave them feedback about what you guys want. We gave them feedback what worked in all the Need for Speed titles. We just gave them a lot of really good information directly from the players. Dragna, I did. And another thing that happened is like everyone was very vocal about what they didn't like. Oh yeah, you wanna see the meme? You wanna see the meme that happened? You know, someone thought we accidentally leaked that we're meeting up with Criterion, right? That was official. We were allowed to say we're gonna meet up with Criterion and give them feedback, right? And then this meme was made. We need more big ones! And also add Toyota back. Please add Golf Mark 5 because funny Golf is better. Then the motherfucker gets kicked out because he wants a new Burnout. Maybe not. I gotta be honest, like, going away from the event, I really do feel like we have a pretty big influence, and we're also gonna have multiple of those. Like, this is not gonna be a one-off where we, like, you know, give them everything that we know and then it's over. Like, this is gonna be an ongoing thing, guys. We're gonna keep on going, and we're gonna keep giving them feedback to make sure the next Need for Speed is as good as it possibly can be. Here's the thing about a new Burnout. If a new Burnout would ever be made, it needs a second studio, right? Like, Criterion cannot make Need for Speed and Burnout at the same time, right? That was obvious. That was always obvious to me, right? So either they make Need for Speed or they make Burnout. Oh, there's a lot of things I can say. There's a lot of things that I saw that I can't tell you about. Everything I'm saying is sanctioned, basically. It's definitely true. It's definitely true what you read there, you know, that they are getting more freedom. Dude, I'm already under NDA. Less rappers and more people in the car community. Oh yeah, about Unbound. It's going on PlayStation Plus. I think that was recently announced on Twitter. Let's see. I think the Nobbits covered it. Oh yeah, if you're wondering what the studio looked like, that's what I pictured here. I think that's actually me there. This piece of clothing, that's me. I'm like right here in that screenshot. They had the Rocky Mercedes. That's the left side of the wall with the Criterion games, you see? Black, the Burnout games. So yeah, we've actually been there. Unbound is now on PlayStation Plus if you're a subscriber, so you might not want to buy the game, you can just play the game. No, it was not only me and Theo, it was 15 people, and most of us are on the same page. Like, there was a very unified message of what people want from a Need for Speed, which very much represents you guys. Right, there is like a massive community. There was a lot of community feedback brought from us directly to the developers. Well, it's not EA, it's Criterion, right? We talked to Criterion, not to EA, because if we send a message to EA and then EA has to put it to Criterion, that's not going to work, right? Like, we met up with the developers directly. We talked to them directly, right? We spent 2 days, like 2 full-on work days, giving them all the feedback they could ever want, and it's gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep giving them feedback for the foreseeable future. So this is not a one-off. And yeah, they're gonna keep getting all the good stuff directly from us. We're gonna represent each of our communities and get your thoughts and wants to the developers. Sounds good, doesn't it? And from what I can tell, they are really thankful. They're really thankful for the amazing feedback that we gathered. Yeah, 15 people were invited. So, you know, everyone is doing the best right now, right? Like, we give them the best possible feedback that we can, and they will try to put it in the game, right? But yeah, I can't give you any specific answers on anything. Obviously, I'm under an NDA. That's the official information that you can expect from me. We met up, we talked for 2 days, and a lot of very good constructive criticism was placed and understood. There is no expiry date on an NDA, bro. Actually, there's one expiry date when the official news actually drops, right? Once the official news is out, yeah, then we can talk about it, obviously. I gotta say, I gotta be more careful not to accidentally mention something that is going around in my brain. You know, as you can expect, we see a lot of ideas, concepts, things that are to come, right? Like there's all the kind of stuff I'm obviously not allowed to talk about. Like we talked about the old games that were amazing, why they were amazing, why the new games aren't as amazing, the things they should focus on. Like we literally covered everything, right? Like, this is the good news. Like, they wanted feedback. They wanted real feedback from us. You know, no matter how brutal it might be, right? It was straight up unfiltered honesty, right? In my opinion, nobody was holding back. Everybody was delivering their true opinion about Need for Speed, what was great in the past, and what isn't so great in the current era of Need for Speed. What can be improved? Like, you guys would be satisfied. I can tell you this thing. I'm satisfied, right? I'm really satisfied how the entire event went. Hey guys, Kuru here. Check out Instant Gaming for cheap game keys. Click the link in the description below. Yeah, we gave feedback about everything. We gave feedback about gameplay from old to new games and the soundtrack and the art styles, everything. But as I said, you know, everyone is doing their best, and that's my genuine opinion is like everyone at Criterion is excited for Need for Speed and they want to get the best information possible. That is why they invited a bunch of racers this time around, like people that actually focus on racing games entirely and get their feedback and their communities. Like it was on point, dude. It was on point. Like the people there, both of Criterion and the invited influencers, YouTubers, streamers, etc. Like they knew what they were talking about. They know what they liked and they know what their communities liked. Put us into the credits. Maybe we get an honorary shout out. I don't think there was a definitive answer why the art style was chosen for Unbound, but they do understand that it's not people's cup of tea. Yeah, we did touch on everything Need for Speed related. We went through the classic, we basically went through the entire Need for Speed history, right? All the games were covered, why they were good, what we want to see again, music included, like there isn't anything, and you know, multiplayer, everything was talked about. Like whatever you can think of right now, we talked about. I made sure of that. Black Panther made sure of that, and everyone else that was there made sure to mention an aspect or another. Good music matters. You know that. You know good music matters. The moment you boot up Most Wanted, Pro Street, Undergrounds, the soundtrack is throwing you into a nostalgia loop, right? I'm gonna try to get to as many questions that I'm actually allowed to answer. Guys, as I said, you know, the entire feedback event was an extreme success. Both the developers and all the invited racing gamers left the event extremely satisfied with the results, and we're all very positive about the outcome that is gonna come from this event. Also, it's not gonna be the last one. We're gonna keep doing this. We will keep giving them feedback to make the best game possible. Right? We all want Need for Speed to succeed, right? How's the UK? Rainy. Well, I feel like even if people have given up, a lot of them are gonna come back. I'm optimistic, you know? And I think that means something, right? Like, the best thing we can be right now is vague, right? We can't tell you anything. But ask anyone that attended the event, they're gonna be optimistic. All I'm saying is let them cook, okay? They got the ingredients, right? They got the ingredients from us, now they have to cook it. Yeah, as you can imagine, I'm not gonna answer any questions. that would be telling. Everyone signed a non-disclosure agreement. Nobody wants to get into trouble or get the Need for Speed guys in trouble. Dude, I actually said I hated Nitro. actually told them that I hate a lot of Need for Speed games and why I hate them. Right, like, and I wasn't the only one. Like, everyone gave their feedback about certain games and why they hated them. I have met Pence before, exactly 5 years ago when we were recording Need for Speed Heat. I don't know if you guys remember like the early Need for Speed Heat gameplay that we had. That was exactly 5 years ago, in the same location actually, same studio, same hotel. That's where we recorded Need for Speed Heat when it was finished, basically. You know, basically what I can tell you is, imagine you have a feedback session directly with the developers and a group of people that really know what they're talking about, right? That's what happened, right? A bunch of knowledgeable racing gamers, direct contact with the developers for 2 days, covering everything there is to cover about Need for Speed. And that's why I'm optimistic. They just discovered focus groups. Yeah, kinda. Dude, I was busy the entire time. We basically worked from the morning to the evening. Then we had, you know, a drink and some dinner, and the day was over, man. There was no time for anything else. I'd say for Criterion, long story short, things are looking good. Alright? You guys can get excited again. Don't play with your feelings. Nah, I'm not. I'm just giving you what I can. And that's my optimism. But yeah, it was very refreshing having so many people talking honestly about Need for Speed, you know? What they enjoy, what they don't, what can be done. I generally feel like, you know, once some people, you know, came out with their criticism, everyone felt like, okay, now I can criticize too. But it wasn't just blind shitting on games or anything. It was really pinpointing why something works or doesn't. You know, as I said, really constructive criticism, and I think it's gonna go a long way. Non-Need for Speed feedback during the Criterion tour? Not really. We just talked about Need for Speed. I mean, we compared Need for Speed to other games to give ideas of what can work. You know, if you keep the questions vague, I can give you answers. If you ask in detail, there's no way. There's no way you're getting an answer out of me. Yeah, there were former Ghost people in there, or at least there were people there that also worked on the Ghost games. I guess it makes more sense. Right, a lot of those games got co-developed, so those people are still there. Dude, a lot of games, in my opinion, would be amazing if done right, you know? Another Underground, another Most Wanted, another Pro Street, even another Undercover could be a really good game if you make it, if you do it well. If you make the game on the quality level like Most Wanted, like any of those games would work in my opinion. I don't think Shift would work, if I'm honest. I don't think Shift is something that Need for Speed fans want, which is apparent by the sales, but, you know, just saying, you know. Dude, a perfectly done 2015 could absolutely work. If you had 2015 with great physics and a much better story and much better cops, yeah, right? You could make the ultimate Need for Speed experience. The game theoretically has it all, but every single element of the game is just underbaked, right? I don't think Shift could work, honestly. Even if you make the perfect Shift, I don't think the audience for that is very big. Yeah, I think you could do a Pro Street. Pro Street, in my opinion, is a much better version of Shift. If you want to do legal racing, Pro Street is the way to go. Shift isn't. And you can tell by the sale numbers. The games aren't actually that bad, but they're not Need for Speed games. See, that's the kind of stuff we talked about, right? 2015 is gonna soon be 10 years old. Yeah, also the 30-year anniversary is coming up for Need for Speed. Oh yeah, I remember that I played Unbound in German. I only cringed every 5 minutes. It wasn't... it wasn't that bad. Hope you're doing super well and you're ready for some runs. Did my camera freeze again? You know that meme where that guy looks after a girl while his girlfriend is behind him? Dude, whenever I'm on a plane, I listen to In Silico and Hold Your Color from Pendulum, because those are the only 2 albums I have downloaded. Right, on the way to the UK, In Silico. On the way back, Hold Your Color. Good times. What else you need? Nah, not much, right? It's just a 2-hour flight. Just enough time to listen to the album and do some other stuff. Time to download some more. No! I'm very happy with those 2 albums. Or did I go to Criterion? In case you missed the memo, me and 14 other content creators were invited to give feedback for Need for Speed. So yeah, we were in direct talks with the Criterion developers of Need for Speed. Gave them everything there is to know about Need for Speed, its history and its current state. And what should be done. It was really constructive feedback, and they are very willing to implement our ideas. They also said that it's the best and most constructive feedback they have ever gotten, and they absolutely love it. So I'm expecting great things. A few you might know is like me, Black Panther, Gaming Militia, and so many others. To be fair, like I know the first name from a lot of those people, but I forgot their exact YouTube name. Yeah, I mean, as I said, you know, from what I can tell is they are very willing to implement our ideas, right? It's all about priorities, right? Like we gave them the priorities what Need for Speed should be, right? And there were a lot of references to all the Need for Speed titles that did it right? So they do have the blueprint, right? We gave them the ingredients, and now they have to cook. And the thing about the creators, like they're all really deep into racing. Right? Like all of those creators are basically racing game communities. So not only the creator, but also their respective communities are super focused on racing. Right? It's not just some random shit placed all over gaming, but actually focused on racing. So yeah, I can tell you the content creators are happy about the event, the developers from Criterion are super happy about the event. I'm expecting good things to come of it. You can put me now into the optimistic department when it comes to Need for Speed. And in my opinion, that's worth something. You know how critical I can be, right? Yeah, that remains to be seen, Dragner. That even I don't know. Yes, Quitty, the good thing is that we will stay in contact with Criterion. Like, this is an ongoing thing, right? We will give them feedback as they develop their stuff, right? This was not a one-off. This will happen again. And we will stay vigilant. We will tell them what works, and we will tell them what doesn't work. And everyone's working together to make the best Need for Speed possible. Guys, make your assumptions. Most of them are true. Alright? Can't give you any definitive answers. You should know that. I'm very confident we're not gonna get another Unbound. Like a game as it is right now, I don't think we will ever get that again. I mean, it just happened, you know, how's anyone in the community supposed to believe, you know, things are gonna change, right? It just happened, right? Yesterday and the day before, it happened. Like, it's gonna take a while for that news to go around and get people excited. After Unbound, there's Inbound. I think Unbound was a wake-up call for a lot of people, because Unbound did not sell well, right? So there's always consequences if something like that happens, you know? Because if you look back in history, Rivals 2015, Payback, Heat, they all had their problems. In my opinion, Heat had the least of them. But they all had their problems, they all had their critiques, but they still sold, right? If you look at the sale numbers of those games, they still sold even with all of their problems. But Unbound didn't, right? Because Unbound did not hit the interest, right? People were not interested in what Unbound was, so they didn't buy it, right? And as you said, you know, it was a wake-up call for them. Probably also a reason why they had this Need for Speed Council with racing dedicated people. right? Like the words that were flying around were passion, right? Like you could feel the passion from all the invited people. Very strong opinions that, in my opinion, were right? A lot of the strong feedback, right, very critical, was deeply passionate and to the point, right? Like there was actually a lot of agreement going on between the creators, and we kind of all are getting the same feedback from our community, and we voiced that very strongly the last 2 days. This might have been the most important meeting for Need for Speed in modern history. Absolutely. Feel free to quote me on that. Oh yeah, like YouTuber, like the number one thing everyone was talking about is we had our time with Break to Drift. We don't want it anymore. Give us a grip handling, right? We don't want super cringy characters. We don't want the unbound art style, right? We want good music, right? It was all in there. That is exactly what we've been talking about all this time. Multiplayer. Whoa, multiplayer was a big topic. Everybody wanted more meaningful multiplayer game options. You know, I am satisfied with the Need for Speed Council. Everything that needed to be said was said. Every topic was covered. You would be satisfied too. Yeah. We gave them a lot of reference points for classic Need for Speeds. But not just classic Need for Speeds, obviously the golden era of Black Box was heavily referenced. Of course, the Carbon Drift mode was mentioned. As I said, everything was covered. Here, the thing is, I was there. I was there. I've played all the Need for Speeds. I know every game and game mode, so if it wasn't mentioned, I mentioned it. Now we had 15 content creators. You know, I left like customization and music primarily to other people. I mean, obviously said, you know, my favorite soundtrack was Pro Street, and I like a nice mix, and everyone really said they want a nice mix of different genres, right? Electro, metal, rap, drum and bass. There were 15 content creators. Obviously, it was the blacklist. It was the blacklist of feedback. Guess who was the number 15 guy in the blacklist? No, Night Runners was not mentioned. Night Runners doesn't feel like Need for Speed, right? Like the idea was to capture the essence of Need for Speed. Like we're not trying to make Need for Speed into a genre that it isn't. Does it make sense? In my opinion, there is no point whatsoever to transform Need for Speed in a different franchise. It's more about capturing what was amazing about Need for Speed in the past and what got people to buy and play those games. Honestly, if I had to describe the vibe, the developers were super happy with the feedback because it was very specific feedback that they can work with, right? It was tangible, right? We said them what we want, right? We told them what our communities want. Very specifically. I mentioned Pro Street, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Underground was mentioned. Every Need for Speed was mentioned. We're basically picking and choosing the great gameplay elements in all of Need for Speed history. Yeah, like one thing that I liked about Need for Speed, especially the older ones, is that you had events all around the world and not just an open world map, right? Everybody was mentioning the handling, dude. Everybody hates the handling. There is no way we're getting a handling like that again. So yeah, if I can calm you down, guys, everything was mentioned and everything was discussed in detail. Those were some very productive 2 days. I'm super optimistic for the future and extremely happy with how it all played out. I cannot give you any dates or times. It's funny, I actually walked so much in the last few days. I actually have like a weird sore muscle in my shins. I mean, I will honestly say, if the next one isn't good, then we did everything we could, and it's just not possible. Then the universe is against us. Yeah, I hope EA has as little say in this matter as possible. The thing about the 15 people, they're all heavy into racing game content. Like all of them are super focused on racing game stuff only. Like everyone was knowing what they were talking about. It was a very specialized group of people that knew what the Need for Speed fans really want. And you could tell the developers were super excited for the feedback. But they said many times the feedback is extremely valuable and they can actually work with our feedback. Yeah, one of the things we said, if you just make a good game, it's gonna sell, right? You wanna focus on these certain elements and then just make a good game and it's gonna sell. Like you don't have to worry about the tiny details that much. Here's the thing, for a remaster you need a different studio, right? Like one studio works on one game and then on the next one. And I would rather have a new Need for Speed. I would rather have a new Need for Speed than a remake or remaster. I want Criterion to make us something new. I mean, the rumors that we've seen on the internet is Stella working on a Burnout game. Did I ask Criterion why Unbound sucked? I did, but I can't answer you. And that's part of the NDA. The last 2 days,
like completely. Who is
exactly what we always talked about happened, They got us, they called us in, the Need for Speed Council to give feedback, to be in a supporting role for the developers to give them a better idea what we want to see in a Need for Speed. So many things we have seen and done at Criterion we can't talk about for quite a while. But when the time is ready, you will know too. No, Criterion is not dead. Whatever gave you that impression. Criterion does work on Battlefield, as everyone knows, but they're not dead. Long story short, it was a really good council, and I'm very optimistic about Need for Speed. Meeting went like this. Kuro walks in, says, put the golf in, and leaves the room. Oh bro, it was like 5 minutes. It was fantastic. Like, I was probably one of the most critical people, but because I was so much of a critiquing person, other people started with some heavy critique as well. So it was very constructive. And let's be honest, the entire room was in unison when it came to handling. Everybody hated on it. They only invited like hardcore racing people. So that was a very, very common message. If you ever heard me rant about the Need for Speed franchise, then you know what I stand for, and there was so much overlap with all the races that they invited. And they're really open to feedback this time around, and I really do think they take it to heart and make something about it. Of course, Eden, of course. I think the most important tool that we gave them is priority. As you said, resources are limited, and I think the number one feedback that we gave them is priority. Like, which things need to be in a Need for Speed for it to be successful. I mean, you know me, right? Like, I understand this stuff, and I really try to hammer it in, right? Sometimes I feel like I swayed the group, but if it ends up helping the franchise, I'm okay with that. Like, everyone has the perfect idea of a Need for Speed, but everything is impossible at the same time, and definitely not for a single game. So it's about priorities, it's about what is possible for a particular game in time, and then just make the best of it. And there was a lot of unison when it came to certain topics, right? Like, we agreed on so many things and what's important, that if they can, stick to that priority list, I think that it's gonna be great for Need for Speed. I'm really happy that it happens. Like, that's something that I always wanted, right? This direct dialogue with the developers, and I think they wanted it too. I mean, I know they wanted it too. They said exactly those words to us. Right, that the information was really valuable and it's gonna help them a lot. And yeah, I'm excited. This was good stuff. Also, they're probably gonna follow up with us anyways. Like, it's not over. The takeaway for me was that everyone that attended the event, including the developers, just want a better Need for Speed. Which is exactly what we need to do. That's the priority, man. So yeah, stick tight to come back tomorrow for more, and good night. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.